take flight.
Hello everybody, my name is Skybound.
Starlight Flux.
And we've just got finished watching episode 27, or season 3, episode 1 of Boku no Hero Academia. And yeah, pretty much we just jumped straight into it with Izuku, Midoriya Deku, whatever you want to call him, joining Gran Torino.
Gran Torino. See, the thing is, I found, he basically, when you say joined him, you mean he opened the door and saw what looked like a murder scene.
It was. He basically walked into that same scene that Okabe walked into in the very first episode of Steins Gate.
Oh god, yeah!
Kurisu!
He didn't even know who she was at that point. Anyway, we're getting massively off track there.
Yeah.
They've been flipping anime.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it seems like he's actually learning how to control his power. It was basically, this entire episode was about introducing all the different sort of agencies and that various heroes were going to be working at, and it seemed like he was going to be taught by the teacher who taught All Might, and it seems like All Might was basically just beaten to a pulp by this guy, and that's the reason why he absolutely scared to death. And it basically ended it up with him basically learning how to control his power. Well, I'm assuming at this point is the episode where he learns to control his power, or at least that's what it's leading into the next episode. I mean, it seems like rather than using it to do stuff, like do particular tasks, it seems like he's using it to power up his entire body and then doing tasks with it.
I think the idea was that because obviously most people are kind of born with those powers already, they kind of have this innate understanding of how to control
or they learn it when they're young enough for it to just become part of their instincts, like part of their subconscious.
It's basically like walking or talking or using your hands or whatever. It's all sort of naturally learned things. But for Izuku, because he was granted that power so late in his life, he doesn't really know how he's meant to use it. So he has to kind of learn to understand how to use it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the reason why I often go back to the comparison before. A lot of the stuff there, it does sort of remind me a little bit of Asperger's. It really does, having to learn social skills a lot later in life. I mean, I had to learn to do that, and it's like learning skills later on in life that a lot of people learn earlier. Yeah, that seems definitely parallel. I mean, I hate to keep on drawing the parallel with that, but it generally does seem like a very strong parallel.
Well, I think to be honest, it's probably closer to say that it's kind of a metaphor for most disabilities, really. Doesn't matter if it's a physical one or a mental one.
Yeah.
It's the whole concept of you're in a kind of world where you're surrounded by people who have all these different abilities, and you essentially have to get by without them.
Yeah, you know what? When you put it that way, it does actually sound like that. And
it's probably meant to be like that as well, because a large portion of the world, I would say probably about 80% of the world. 20% of the world is probably disabled in some way or another. Probably.
I don't know the exact statistics, but anyway, the point I'm getting at, it seems interesting how he's having to learn that this power is something he needs to have on all the flipping while. And it's something that he needs to not just apply to certain situations, but apply all the while. And
he's basically got to distribute it evenly across his body, because all he's basically doing is forcing all of the power into the one thing he's doing. So
so in other words, if he was moving one finger, if he was using the one finger to actually flick a massive, essentially a force of, I think it was like before he broke it with the air essentially.
Essentially.
So he basically he broke. It's like in that previous episode where he was in like the tournament, he would break ice using just the movement of his finger. So he would be focusing the entire thing through the finger rather than across the entire body.
Which is pretty much why it broke, essentially.
Yeah, because he's putting it all through there, and if it's spread across the entire body, and it's like he said he saw it before, where All Might had to spread. He basically powered up, and then after a while he would power down. This would explain why All Might over time is getting weaker, because he's having to apply it across the entire body, and if his body can't take as much as it used to, or not even that, he hasn't got enough power to spread across his entire body anymore, it would explain why it would run out quicker. So yeah, it's it's certainly interesting one, and his actual explanation that isn't, well, it doesn't feel like a bullshit explanation that's like anime science is. You know what I mean? Like where it's basically a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo. It's actually an explanation that actually sounds feasible in that world. That does sound like a feasible explanation, really. So
yeah, I mean, to be honest, it was quite sort of interesting. Obviously, there's quite a lot of comparisons one can draw between the whole Luke meeting Yoda kind of situation.
Oh god, yeah.
With obviously Gran Torino being like Yoda, he's small, he can jump around like crazy.
He looks like he can't move about quickly at all.
He looks kind of like a frail old man, but then suddenly when he actually starts using his power, it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, I messed with the wrong person here. And yeah, it was also kind of similar, because when you think about it, when Luke went to see Yoda, it was to learn control of the Force.
Yeah.
So it is basically the Star Wars situation, isn't it? It is. It is actually literally, now I think about it, the Star Wars situation. It's the Luke and Yoda thing.
Oh god.
So yeah, so essentially, Deku's learning to use the Force.
Well, actual physical Force.
Yes.
It'd be interesting to see next episode. Oh god, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we haven't got that one with us, so we'll probably be watching that next week.
But what it is good to see though is that he did manage to use his powers.
Yeah,
in the back alley, when he was trying.
Well, that's the interesting thing. He didn't break his feet when he was doing that, and that kind of gives more testament to it. He was kind of putting all his force into. He was putting his force not into just his toes, but his entire back. Up to his essential waist. Up to the waist area.
Yeah.
Up to where it basically all the legs had both of the legs and had all the energy put into it. And I suppose that's the reason why the microwave example that he gave kind of made him think about it, because it kind of spread across the entire.
It's probably also why when he was trying to sort of bounce off the walls, he was trying to he kept sort of hitting the wall because he
wasn't powering up his hand.
Yeah, he hadn't channeled the energy through to his upper half, so he'd have to basically channel the energy up to his upper half before he'd be able to use that power.
He was trying to channel it into his legs, then channel it into his hands, instead of just channeling it across the entire body. Now that means while he wouldn't have as much force behind each part of his body, he could use all of it at the same time.
Basically, yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. So it was spread more evenly, and that's the reason why. But yeah, I mean, it was. I would actually. Yeah, I can see how that would work actually. So
yeah, it definitely works as an explanation, and to be quite honest,
I've heard worse explanations in anime, and other shows for something actually happening.
I definitely
Not going to have a massive plot hole in it. Let's put it that way, because that sounds quite feasible. I mean, him learning from the fact that it was like there wasn't enough. He needed to give the. I mean, that microwave. It maybe wouldn't get. Yeah. What a weird way of learning about how to control his power, though. A microwave, of all things.
Yeah. Well, I suppose in a way it's kind of like. Metaphors can help.
Well, yes, metaphors can help, but like, I'm still trying to understand how not being able to heat up the entire plate because he didn't heat it up enough made him understand it. Or maybe it was just thinking about microwaves and the energy being spread more evenly.
Well, I think part of it was just because Gran Torino starts explaining that the plate needs to be able to spin in the microwave, which I didn't even realise that microwaves exist where the plate didn't spin.
I didn't even know that either, actually.
I didn't realise that was a thing that existed.
Well,
So-
yeah, I mean, maybe in their world it's super futuristic and they don't need to, and he's just got a really cheapo microwave from Amazon. Well, the Amazon knock.
Amazon.
You know, and so basically in anime we have Amazon and the Dr. Pepper ripoff.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you'll find a lot of brand rip-offs in a lot of anime. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. Also, it's very clear that Gran Torino has Prime because that was delivered the very next day.
Well, yes.
Next day delivered.
And they're very good delivery service, unlike in the UK.
But yeah, anyway, it was an enjoyable episode. A good opening for season 3, which is clearly going to be focusing more on the crime fighting kind of stuff. It's going to be. I think it's going to be focused on crime fighting with the other heroes with their internship.
And Bakuma actually controlling him. Oh, that was
Deku control, not Bakugo.
Oh yeah.
Although Bakugo does need to control his temper.
Oh god, yeah. Oh god, yeah. But the whole rarity guy. So his power is basically using fabric. Hence the reason why it's covered head to toe in the skull. Doesn't that mean he could get to the point where his entire... Oh my god, that means he could end up being naked at some point, that guy. If he uses all his fabric.
I think, to be honest, it's denim, so there's a lot of fabric to... I think it's essentially kind of like Spider-Man, I think, which is weird, like he's using the fibres from denim to bind people. That is a really weird
Maybe denim is just a really dense fabric and that's the reason why he uses it.
I mean, it's a tough fabric, but still, it's one of those really weird powers.
Implying the guy with the bloody those sticky flubber things.
I mean, there's some weird superpowers really, but you know that's what makes it interesting. I mean, when you think about it, like look at Froppy's power.
Oh god,
her power is literally being a frog. Like what's
it's like anything a frog can do, Floppy can do.
Yeah, and okay, she makes it work, but it's like, how many frogs were they licking when they thought of that? You know, how many of those freaking
special cakes were they eating?
I was going to say there's these kind of frogs that people.
Those poisonous.
The poisonous frogs that people lick to basically give themselves like a psychedelic high.
Oh god.
Yeah.
People actually do that.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh god.
I remember watching a Jonathan Creek episode about it. But yeah. Anyway, psychedelic frogs aside. That's
I think
I'd say. Good episode.
Psychedelic. Really.
Good episode.
Anyway, what would you give?
8.5.
8.5. Yeah, I think I would give it 8.6 actually. I really enjoyed that episode. It was quite a fun one.
Alright, cool. Yeah, so that was our thoughts on it.
Right. So you can give your thoughts in the comments below, and you can
check out the video in the description.
You mean the commentary in the description?
Yeah, check out the reaction. It's good.
Anyway, let's wrap this up then.
Okay, as usual, I'm Skybound.
Starlight Bucks.
And we'll see you for the next episode of Boku no Hero Academia.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Yeah.